Hey everyone, it's Laura Myers for CMS-Connected. Following my interviews with a few members of the Siteimprove team at Progress Next 2018, I was eager to round out my view of their business's full-scale software, addressing content quality, accessibility, compliance, data privacy requirements, and more with a conversation with Angelo Spenillo, General Counsel at Siteimprove North America. As much as I've discussed the GDPR over the past 2 years, I was really interested to hear the perspective of someone so immersed in the legalities of it. Hey Angelo, how are you doing today?
Pretty good, thanks.
Fantastic. Now, this may seem like an obvious question, but having discussed the GDPR with so many people, I've found each has their own unique perspective of it. So I'm curious to hear from you simply, what does the GDPR mean to you?
Sure. I would say that the first thing it means to me is transparency, if I had to give one word for it. And then I would say there's one other, just awareness. It feels like there's a lot more awareness about data privacy, why it's such a big deal that's resulting from the GDPR.
Those are really great points to make and very much align with my thoughts on it as well. It's making organizations more transparent while bringing to light the awareness consumers should create for themselves and how their personal data is being used.
Right.
In relation to that, what would you say are the essential elements for a business to have or execute on in obtaining and managing their compliance?
Sure. I would say that the first thing that they need is they need either one person or a team that's in charge of that compliance. At Siteimprove, we have a team of 4 people. We call ourselves the Fellowship of the GDPR because we came from all different walks of the business, all different departments, legal, information security, and IT. To put that compliance together. So it's good to have one centralized place where you could go with any of your data privacy questions. The next thing that I think that you need is buy-in. And from 2 places, really. You need buy-in from upper management that they're going to support you in your efforts. And at Siteimprove, we had buy-in from almost from the beginning. I think that it went live, and a few months later, we were already talking about it. So I'm talking 2016, early 2016, we were talking about it. But then also buy-in from the company itself. You actually have to buy into the importance of data privacy and why it's a good thing and why it's good for your business. And we happen to have that as well. So that worked. And then finally, I think awareness. What we at Siteimprove did was we had training, which I think a lot of people do, but something else that we did because we were really excited about GDPR week. We sent out emails every single day to employees, and it was from the Fellowship of the GDPR, and we would have a funny picture with us looking like hobbits, and we would have a little blurb about the GDPR, how Siteimprove was complying with it, and then how it applied to them in their lives, because the GDPR doesn't only apply when you're at work. As soon as you leave work, everyone's getting inundated with emails about privacy policy updates. So we felt that was important too. And I think that it had an effect that people really started getting it.
Along those same lines of Siteimprove as an organization and platform, tell us about the Siteimprove GDPR tool.
Sure. Because I'm a lawyer, I don't do too much with it. I have used it for some of our compliance efforts. So what it does, the nice thing it does is it scans your websites. If you have more than one website, it identifies your domains, and it scans them and identifies where you have personal data on those websites. From a compliance perspective, that was really important to me because that I could be assured that anywhere where there's personal data on that website, I would be able to identify where that personal data was and then figure out why it's there and do we have a purpose for it.
Very much streamlines the understanding there. Now, my final question for you may be right up your alley given your vantage point, but where do you think the GDPR sits on the complexity scale as compared to current or future data regulations of a similar nature?
Right. I'd probably say that it's moderate. I've honestly, and maybe it's because I've read it so many times, it seems actually rather simple. The regulation itself is fairly simple. You just got to tell people what you're doing with the information you're collecting. There's really not big prohibitions, but I would say that the complexity comes in with the actual implementation of it. Going into all of your systems and starting places that you're collecting data, then trying to figure out why you're collecting it, then figuring out how long you're keeping it for, and then what to do when someone asks you about that information. So it's harder to implement than it is, I think, to understand.
Do you think that there'll be more regulations like this coming down the line from other parts of the world?
You know, I think a lot of people are starting to wonder, is this going to come over into North America? Are we going to see more things like this? I don't know, because the GDPR was intended really to harmonize similar laws across European countries in the EU. Will we see something similar? You know, in the U.S., we just recently had the 50th state pass a data breach notification law. So the fact that it took 50 states that long to each come up with their own, it makes me wonder whether we're going to be able to agree and see something like that. But I think in other areas of the world, yeah, we probably will see it. Canada, it wouldn't surprise me. They seem to be ahead of on these data privacy issues.
That definitely gives us all something to think about. Well, that's all the questions I have for you, Angelo. Thank you so much for your time.
Oh, you're welcome.
It was my pleasure. That was Angelo Spenillo, General Counsel at Siteimprove North America, giving us his thoughts on the GDPR and whether or not we will see a similar regulation take hold in North America. The GDPR is a topic we have and will continue to cover, so if you're curious, stay tuned right here at CMS-Connected.